We are here at Patel to talk about the PPP loan forgiveness and give you some updates based on a November 18th update that the U.S. Treasury gave out on loan forgiveness. So, Patrick, if you want to go over the kind of gist of what they said.
Sure. Let's start with kind of where we were going up into this new ruling from the IRS. They previously stated that the PPP loans would not be taxable in terms of not report the forgiveness as income, but that whatever expenses you use to qualify for your forgiveness, you would not get to claim on your tax return. This is a quick example to make sense of that. You get a $50,000 loan and you use $50,000 of salary that you paid that loan out for to get your forgiveness. If you would ordinarily throughout the year have $250,000 of expenses, you're only going to be able to write off $200,000 because that other $50,000 they're not letting you write off since you used it to qualify for forgiveness. The new rule that they put out a couple weeks ago has specified the timing on when you have to deal with that on your tax return. Previously, before they clarified, we were thinking it would be tied to when the loan was forgiven. So if you get your forgiveness in 2021, that's when you have to reduce your expenses and not claim those expenses. Or if you do it in 2020, then you would have to deal with it on this tax return. The IRS with this new rule has said, no matter what, it's going to be 2020 if you expect to get forgiveness. They don't care when you apply or when you receive your forgiveness. If you think you're going to get forgiveness, then you have to treat it as if the expenses are being reduced on the 2020 tax return. That's giving us a lot less flexibility to manage the tax hit of this, which could potentially be very significant for some businesses.
Right. So with this ruling, even though they said that you would have to claim the expenses, our recommendation is still, if you can, wait to apply for forgiveness. There's really a few reasons why. Number one, there's no harm with waiting. If you have to deduct the expenses because it's reasonably expected to be forgiven, well, you're already in that position. Number two, which I think is the biggest one, is the government and the way the PPP loan has been handled is there's been multiple changes. Payment deferrals from 6 to 10 months, 8-week spending period versus 24 weeks spending period. The years that you have to pay it back, they've made multiple changes based on what's going on in the economy or what has happened when it actually comes time that these decisions impact people. So, with our government and the U.S. Treasury and SBA putting out guidance based upon reactionary, we feel that, it's entirely possible because Congress ultimately wanted this to be non-taxable. So if things with COVID continue to get bad or get worse, we could see that Congress come back and says, listen, this wasn't our intent. So we do hope that Congress will change the decision and truly make this non-taxable. So, I think that's our biggest recommendation for everybody. Patrick, go over the options of why we recommend.
Yeah, basically we're seeing one of three ways that this could go going forward. Option A is Congress does nothing. They're deadlocked, they make no changes to the rules, and we're stuck with what the IRS says. That's kind of our worst case scenario.
And that would be
you have to
pay taxes this year.
Yeah, pay taxes on 2020. We're just stuck with that. We have to be prepared to probably pay somewhere between 20 and 30% of whatever you get forgiven in taxes. So it's going to hurt a lot of businesses. Option B is that Congress does some kind of limited overrule of the IRS. Passes law that says we're going to tie it to when you get forgiveness, or we're going to defer it a year, or some kind of moving the goalposts so that you can push it back. And that's really why we're encouraging waiting on the forgiveness. Because if they change the rule and say tie it to whenever you get forgiveness, if you already claimed forgiveness now, you're kind of stuck. So they may do that. Or the third option, which is what we're really hoping for, is that they just completely overrule the IRS and pass a new law that says this is not going to have any impact on your tax return. We're giving the money to forgiveness. You get that, you still get to claim the expenses. It's something they keep talking about doing, and they're talking about it on a partisan basis. People on the tax committees on both sides who are saying this is not what we want. We don't want the IRS doing this. The only reason we're not banking on that is they've had 6 months now to change it and overrule it since the IRS first came out with this, and they haven't so far. So it's a possibility, is what we're hoping for, but not anything we're relying on at this point.
So in conclusion, what are we discussing with our clients, and what are we telling them? Number one is, if you have the patience to wait for forgiveness, apply for forgiveness in January 2021, so you have your options remaining open. Number two is, under the current guidelines and recommendations of what we're reading, is if you have a loan, be prepared to pay taxes on that money. So for instance, if you received a PPP loan of $50,000, be prepared to have about $15,000 to $18,000 ready to pay the taxes for federal and state purposes. The other thing we're encouraging our clients to do is reach out to your Congress and representatives and explain to them that originally when this came out, it was implied that this would be a loan that would be tax-free. Agreed that it may not be reported as income, but because you're not allowed to take the deductions, it is becoming taxable. So those are the three big recommendations that we have for the PPP forgiveness. Anything else to add, Patrick?
I don't think so. Just emphasizing that reach out to your congressman, reach out to your senator, and the more noise we make with them, the more likely it is that they're going to actually do something.
And in conclusion, I think that hopefully you guys have happy holidays, and we're always here to put up more information on the PPP and things of that nature. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to either one of us in our office for your current situation. But that's what we have for now. So we hope you guys have a safe and happy holidays.
Thank you for listening.